Once, a legendary household of elite swordsmen collapsed overnight. The reason? The crown prince was poisoned, and blame fell on a woman who barely had time to protest before being labeled the ultimate evil villain. Was she guilty? Nope. Did anyone care? Also nope. People fixated on her villainous looks, big, heavy, and final boss material. Enter a genius detective who saw through the nonsense. Inspired, our wrongly accused villain decided if the world wanted a monster, she'd give them a transformation they'd never forget. And that's when things got interesting. The story begins on the northern border of the Dalan Empire in the province of Eri. To the north of the Dalan Empire is the Kingdom of Karis, inhabited by a warrior people who invade the empire. These people are called descendants of the Black Wolves. In the west, the Dalan Empire is bordered by a dense and impenetrable forest. In this thicket live a variety of monsters and wild beasts, making it a very dangerous place, which is avoided by the inhabitants of the empire. Throughout the Dalan Empire, there is no more dangerous place than the province of Eri. This province is ruled by an aristocratic family that carries the surname Versate. The Versate family is also called the guardians of the empire. For many generations, they have been able to raise and educate hundreds of warriors skilled in handling their blades. But things are about to change. The crown prince of the empire will be treacherously poisoned by his enemies and will die in agony. It turns out that the Versate family will have a hand in this shame, betraying their duty to the empire. A girl from the Versate family named Olivia will be involved in the assassination of the crown prince of the empire. This crime will change not only the course of the history of the Dalan Empire, but also the life of Olivia Versate. She will get everything she deserves from life, not only the gifts of destiny, but also hard lessons that she will have to learn to survive. Olivia is not a pretty girl. She has a large build and is also above her ideal weight. Perhaps it was her total dissatisfaction with her appearance and life that led her to attract the crown prince, but only time will tell. Olivia Versate looks in the mirror and combs her long hair. Suddenly, she realizes that she is not in her own body. Her real name is Ani, and she came from the real world. Ani realizes that she has entered her favorite novel, but she still does not fully understand how this happened. The girl is very angry for entering the villain's fat body and not the beautiful princess who lives in the royal castle. Ani looks at Olivia's cheeks in the mirror, and she does not look like a young girl, but like a real hamster. This infuriates the girl, who did not expect this to happen. Ani looks at Olivia's hanging double chin and is shocked by what she sees, finding it necessary to go on an urgent diet. She also does not like Olivia's dull and unkempt hair. Apparently, the villain spent a lot of time devising her treacherous plans and very little time at the hairdresser. Ani looks at herself once again and is simply horrified by what she sees. She compares herself to a huge boar, one that no diet can help. She falls on the bed, crying because of the stress, wondering how she can be happy in such a sloppy body if, in her previous life, she was a real beauty. She calms down a bit and puts a pillow over her head, remembering her past life in the real world. She used to be very beautiful and also had an active life. In her past life, Ani graduated from the police academy and managed to become an excellent detective. She fought crime in her hometown and always enjoyed this life. Thanks to intense training, Ani managed to create a perfect body, and the girl's beauty caused real madness in all the men around her. Every man wanted to give her a sign of attention or a romantic gift, and she enjoyed these little privileges. Until this morning, she was Ani from the real world, at 30 years old. But now, the girl finds herself in the fat body of a teenager with a terrible character. In the plot of her favorite novel, Olivia Versate is going to be executed for the murder of the crown prince. So Ani knows that she will die if she doesn't change anything about the plot of the novel. Maybe this can still be done, but she doesn't have much time. She is even more angry with Olivia Versate and will not allow the plot of the novel to unfold in the original way. The girl will change the story in her own way, or else she will die. Suddenly, there is a knock on the bedroom door. Behind the door, two maids bring the girl breakfast. The maids enter their mistress's room with trays in their hands and wish Olivia Versate a good morning, but after a few moments, they are stunned by what they see in the room. The maids are already accustomed to their mistress's antics, but this time they see something new. Olivia is sitting on the bed in her nightgown while voraciously devouring a large amount of food like a huge, insatiable piglet that has not been fed for several days. Around the girl are empty and dirty plates, bones, and food scattered around. It turns out that her eating disorder was triggered because now she knows the exact time of her death. Olivia Versate's execution is still 2 years away, but she decides to just eat and relieve her stress for now, not thinking about anything other than eating, drinking, and having fun. She keeps thinking about how she will be executed in 2 years and how unlikely it is that anything will change. As she continues to stuff herself with kilos of food, 3 months later, she is still in the Versailles castle and continues to lead a disorderly lifestyle, eating out of stress. Now, Olivia Versailles is lying in bed after eating a lot of food for lunch. She feels very bad, having difficulty breathing and being unable to move. The girl's stomach is completely full, and she feels like she's going to explode like a balloon. But suddenly, she realizes something. Olivia realizes that she will die before her execution due to her overeating. So something must be done to stop killing herself like that. She realizes that it's time to control herself in order to change her destiny. She needs to start doing sports to get in shape, such as daily morning runs. The girl remembers her past life again, when she was a respected police officer feared by all the criminals in the city. Men fulfilled her every wish because of her beauty. So the new Olivia Versailles makes a firm decision to change for the better. So she doesn't put it off any longer and decides to start doing sports immediately. Olivia goes out to the courtyard and starts running to lose her extra pounds. First, she wants to lose the excess weight and then gain muscle mass. The maids follow their mistress to the courtyard of the Versailles estate. They call the housekeeper Deus to follow Olivia since Olivia could get hurt with such intense training. Deus goes out to the courtyard of the mansion with a watchful eye on her pupil. For a maid, that is a surprising sight since Olivia Versailles has never been involved in sports exercises before. She runs fast through the castle park. She is tired of being weak and fat, so she will do everything to become a new person who can change her destiny. She is determined to become slim and beautiful, and she wants to do it fast since her life is at stake. A few weeks later, Olivia goes on a strict diet and engages in intense physical exercises. The girl is now unrecognizable, and she has really changed for the better. She is sitting in her room in front of the mirror, admiring her reflection. To be honest, Olivia did not expect to achieve such good results in such a short time, but she made a huge effort to become the most coveted bride in the kingdom, and now she has really succeeded. She looks at herself in the mirror and smiles, noticing that thanks to the training and diet, she has become the most charming villain in the Dallin Empire. Today is a special day for Olivia, and the girl turned 16. Her father and brother also return home after a long time, and they still haven't seen Olivia in shape. Then she realizes that they will be very surprised. Olivia goes down to the hall of the Versailles estate to meet her father and brother. They arrive on time, and the servants line up in several rows to welcome their masters. Olivia stands in front of her father, Jared, who can't recognize his daughter after her transformation. Her brother also looks at the girl in surprise, and he is simply amazed at how much Olivia has changed. Jared Versailles has always been a very brave man, but also a little foolish. He looks at his daughter in bewilderment, but after a while, he recovers and hugs Olivia. Jared is enchanted and says how Olivia looks so much like her mother, Cecilia. He is happy that his daughter has become so beautiful, and now she will have no shortage of suitors. Then Kai Versailles interferes in the conversation between Jared and Olivia. The young knight, Olivia's brother, says that there is nothing surprising that Olivia looks like her mother, finding it natural, and likes to make fun of how silly their father is. Olivia looks at her brother Kai, a little confused by him happy to see his sister, but without showing such strong emotions like Jared. The family goes to the living room to relax and have tea. Jared praises his daughter for getting in shape, while his father tells Olivia that now she should take care of the family duties. He wants to entrust her with the Hirsch province, which needs to be put in order. Olivia is happy that her father entrusted her with such an important task and remembers that for a long time, she wanted to become an important part of the family. Kai turns to his sister, hoping that she will have enough strength and knowledge to handle the administration of Hirsch, because he and their father will soon be heading to the border again to eliminate the monsters that terrorize the civilians. Then her father approaches his daughter and holds her hands, asking her to be up to the task. Olivia is very pleased with the situation, and she does not want to disappoint Jared. So Olivia smiles at her father and replies enthusiastically that she will do all the tasks that have been assigned to her, and she will be able to bring order to the Hirsch province. The next day, Olivia walks through the Versailles family estate. The girl thinks about the task her father has given her, realizing that it requires great strength and responsibility. It is one thing to promise her father that she will take care of the economic affairs in the province, but it is quite another to make it a reality. Olivia walks with her umbrella, deep in thought when suddenly someone calls her by name. The girl turns to look at the person who called her, realizing that it is an elderly peasant who lives nearby. The peasant asks his mistress to listen to his problem. Recently, there were frosts that ruined his crops, and he had invested everything in his crops. The abnormal frosts ruined even the frost-resistant potatoes, and even trying to save the harvest was useless. So if nothing is done, his family will die of hunger. All the inhabitants of the province are also in the same situation, and they could all meet their death if Olivia does not help them. She listens attentively to the peasant who came to bow to the lady on behalf of all those who inhabit the province of her family. The girl sympathizes with the man, so Olivia asks what she can do to help save the people from Mary. The peasant hesitates a bit to answer, but then asks for a reduction in taxes for a while, just so that the people can survive until the next harvest. Olivia looks closely at the peasant, realizing that he is a hardworking man who has spent his entire life earning his bread with honest work. Then she promises to reduce taxes for a year to avoid famine in the Hirsch province. The peasant thanks the noble lady, and then he leaves. After the walk, she returns to her estate, and the girl reflects on the task that her father entrusted to her. Olivia worries about her land and its inhabitants, but realizes that it is time to worry about herself since she must die soon at the hands of an executioner. This horrifies Olivia since she has not yet done anything to change her fate. Several months pass, and Olivia has fulfilled her duty to her family and subjects responsibly. She has been taking care of the Hirsch province for about a year and solves a variety of tasks related to the well-being of her possessions. It is difficult for a young and inexperienced girl to solve these tasks alone, so Olivia finds a good assistant who can give good advice and carry out all of her mistress's assignments. Olivia also begins to get intensively involved in fencing to be ready for her unpredictable destiny. This helps the girl to stay in good shape as well as cultivate the will and character of a fighter during training. Deus suddenly rushes in and says that an imperial delegation will soon arrive at the Versailles estate. Deus grabs her mistress by the shoulders, explaining that her father wants to see his daughter immediately. Deus pushes Olivia into the bathroom and tells her to wash up immediately while she tries to understand what is going on. After her bath, Deus says it is time to get Olivia a decent outfit. The maid takes her mistress to the dressing room and offers her several dresses to choose from. Deus picks up several of them and asks which of the outfits she likes the most. The girl examines the dresses and notices that they are all good, but she still needs to choose one. Olivia faces a difficult choice and does not know what to choose, but after a few minutes, she ends up choosing a red dress, thinking that this color emphasizes her beauty. Deus approves of her mistress's choice, praising Olivia for her great taste. The girl is a little embarrassed by this, but doesn't show it. A few minutes later, Olivia puts on the luxurious outfit she has chosen. This outfit matches Olivia's face. She walks with her maid through the estate's corridor to meet the guests. She thinks that she is always in a good mood, thinking that she has a lot to learn from her in this year of work and training. Olivia has already learned a lot about life in Eri, but the girl still has a lot to do to change her destiny. She remembers the content of the story, and according to the novel, Olivia Versailles should marry the crown prince of the kingdom, and so the girl should go to the Royal Academy to have a higher education. But so far, Olivia doesn't know the crown prince or her father, who is the emperor of the Dallin Empire. There has also been no talk about the Royal Academy. Olivia hesitates and stops in front of the door of her father's office, hoping to be able to cancel the engagement with the crown prince and her studies at the academy. Olivia enters her father's office, where her father and brother Kai are waiting. The girl realizes that she will have a serious conversation with her relatives. Olivia wants to do everything to break the vicious cycle and not be blamed for the murder of the crown prince, but it seems that so far she has done nothing. Her father and brother arrive to give Olivia important news. Olivia enters the office and smiles at both of them, not giving the impression that she is very worried. She behaves like a true aristocrat. Even though only a year ago she was a police detective, Jared suggests that his daughter sit down, and Kai is not happy that his sister has left her waiting. Olivia greets and thanks her father without responding to her brother's criticism. She wants to find out why they called her, thinking that maybe it is something important. The girl asks her father what is going on. Then Jared shows her a document that should interest her. Olivia looks at the document and is horrified, wondering if this paper has anything to do with the Crown Prince and the Royal Academy. Like a true aristocrat, Olivia does not show the others that she is afraid. She takes the document in her hand, asking if she can read it, and her father allows Olivia to read the official letter. He holds his daughter by the shoulders and mentions that this is an official letter from the Emperor himself. A very important document must be treated with all possible respect and responsibility. Kai Versailles intervenes in the conversation between father and daughter. He does not like what the letter says, since it only satisfies the ego of the Versailles family members and nothing more. Kai asks her father not to respond to the Emperor's letter with a yes. This leaves Olivia intrigued, so she pretends to be trying to guess the content of the Emperor's letter. The girl thinks for a moment and asks if she will be summoned to the Imperial Palace to approach the Crown Prince. Jared and Kai Versate were happy that she was so intelligent she could guess everything on her own. But for Olivia Versate, these assumptions are just a joke since she already knows everything that awaits her in the future. Knowing that this future does not please her at all, Olivia smiles to disguise that she already knew everything. She looks at her father and brother, thinking about how naive they are, noting how easily they are fooled and impressed. These grown men act like children, but deep down, Olivia still loves these kind people. She reads the Emperor's letter carefully, which is addressed to the head of the Versate family. Now all the details are clear to the girl. The Emperor has set an important condition mentioned in the letter. The aristocratic family that delivers the best aerator trophy during the war against the forest monsters will receive a prize. This prize is that one of the lines of the winning family will be brought closer to the heir to the throne so that she can become the favorite of the prince. Olivia reads the donor letter to the end but cannot understand the purpose of this contest, wondering if the crown prince cannot choose his favorite by himself and according to his own taste. All this is just unbelievable nonsense. Jared tells his daughter that the heir to the throne is known in the Empire for his cunning and cleverness, so she needs to think several times before agreeing to go to the royal castle. Olivia's brother confirms Jared's words, explaining that the crown prince can harm her, so the girl needs to be very careful when approaching him. Their father and brother discourage Olivia Versate from going to the royal castle, thinking that she should not agree to this proposal from the emperor. The crown prince is known by everyone for her wickedness and bad attitude towards girls, so the relatives cannot allow Olivia to get into trouble. Olivia realizes that all this could turn into a romantic story cliché, as always happens in love novels, where a young man meets a beautiful girl, they fall in love, and everything ends in a splendid wedding with the newlyweds living happily ever after, dying on the same day. But Olivia thinks that this story is too sweet for her. Olivia's assistant, whose name is Mon, is also in the room. The girl asks Mon what he thinks about the Emperor's letter and what he says. Olivia's assistant didn't expect to be consulted or to form an opinion about the letter. Mon is silent, and he doesn't know what to say to his mistress. Olivia says that her father and brother are very worried about the possible dangers that could come from the crown prince. Olivia's assistant realizes that he needs to answer. Mon thinks for a moment and answers that he thinks similarly to both of them, but the crown prince shouldn't harm the girl if she is chosen by the emperor himself. Jared and Kai didn't expect this answer from Olivia's assistant. They got angry and started to scold him for not understanding the situation, but Olivia thanked her assistant for his support. The girl gets distracted from the conversation and thinks about what to do. She looks out the window of the room where beautiful trees grow. She admires their beauty. After a while, it is time for a family dinner. Representatives of the Versate family, as well as their close friends and assistants, sit at the table. The maids silently serve the aristocrats during dinner. Olivia is sitting at the dinner table with everyone. The girl is reading a letter in response to the crown prince, written by Jared and Kai, but this letter is simply horrible. She reads the letter in response and realizes that it is exaggerated since most of what is written is a lie and hard to believe. She thinks that the message needs to be rewritten urgently, or else it will be laughed at by the entire empire. Her father says that he usually writes letters to incredible characters, but Olivia thinks otherwise. Apparently, the crown prince was never a stupid man, so if he reads this letter, he wouldn't want to invite Olivia to the royal palace, and he wouldn't feel the desire to become Olivia's fiancé. Olivia thinks the silly and pretentious letter is Jared's and Kai's idea, and she thinks about how they could threaten to kill the crown prince in a duel if he offended Olivia. Simply absurd. Apparently, these two do not understand anything about politics or economics and only know how to brandish their swords, living in the borderlands where the only neighbors are terrible and bloodthirsty monsters. Olivia gathers her thoughts and decides to act in her own way, creating a new destiny for herself with her own hands. It is necessary to make the plot of the novel in which the girl lives change once and for all. Olivia gets up from the table and quickly runs out of the dining room to discuss her idea with her father and brother. They have already had lunch and headed to the office. Olivia stops in front of her father's office and thinks for a few moments. The girl decides once and for all that she will never be a villain, no matter what happens. Olivia enters her father's office, where Jared and Kai are discussing business after a delicious lunch. Suddenly, Olivia says loudly and firmly that the royal family should go to hell and that the emperor is so eager to have her as his son's favorite. She will play by her own rules. Jared and Kai do not expect Olivia to be so determined. They are surprised by Olivia's words and listen to her in silence. The girl continues her speech, telling the two to hand over to the emperor the trophy they won in the bloody battles with the monsters of the frontier. But the Versate family will never have to pay increased taxes to the royal treasury. And if Olivia becomes the king's daughter-in-law, he will certainly discount the Versate family. He listens to his daughter, then thinks and says that there is a certain logic in her words. It could work, but Olivia replies that she has another condition. To avoid the royal family's advances on Olivia, they need to announce that the girl has been very ill lately. This will buy some time before everyone finds out the truth. Kai looks at his sister and says that he approves of her plan, thinking that this could work very well. The Versate family would gain a privileged position among the aristocrats if everyone thought that Olivia was the crown prince's favorite. At the same time, Olivia would avoid the royal court, and no one would hurt her there. Jared listens to his children, but Olivia's father still has some doubts about whether the emperor will believe that the girl is really sick, so she won't be able to go to court. Olivia replies to her father that it would be necessary to show Olivia's portraits from 2 years ago, since in these photos the girl looks very bad. So it will be very easy to believe in her illness. Jared agrees with her. He calls Mon and orders the servant to summon all the other members of the Versate family council to discuss the details of the plan. A few minutes later, the young man who helped Olivia a lot when her father and brother were away from the estate, fighting monsters on the border, enters the office. This young man's name is Edwin, and he works as the chief secretary and is excellent with papers and documents. Olivia looks carefully at Edwin, pleased that the chief secretary is attending the family meeting. Edwin has a brilliant mind, so he will always be able to give good advice and help in a difficult moment. The door of the office opens again. Behind Edwin is another young man who came to the family council, but it is still difficult to see him behind the door. After a few moments, the young man enters the office. His name is Daniel Meridian. He is the brother of the head housekeeper Deus and Kai's best friend. Daniel Meridian has always been characterized by his outward beauty and physique. This young man knows he is handsome and always takes care of his appearance. Olivia has always liked Daniel. She looks at him, and her heart beats faster in her chest. Olivia liked him. He became her first love when she was placed in Olivia's body. In addition, Daniel also taught the girl how to handle a sword perfectly. Kai greets Daniel, asking his friend what he is doing there. Daniel replies that he was called by Jared for the family council and that maybe he could do something to help the Versate family. Daniel greets Olivia, smiling at the girl he taught how to fight with swords. Olivia is a little embarrassed, but pleased with Daniel's attention. This young man evokes romantic emotions in Olivia, who is still in love with him. The girl blushes, but tries not to show that she is embarrassed by his presence at the council. She thinks of what a true gentleman Daniel is and can't take her eyes off him. The Meridian family are longtime friends of the Versate family. Thinking that this is the wonderful man that the Meridians managed to create, she daydreams about finding a secluded corner in nature, building a house, isolating herself in this family nest, and having children. The perfect life for a girl like Olivia, who gets sick just thinking about marrying the emperor's son and living in a hostile palace. Yes, she is in love with Daniel Meridian, who begins to imagine the two of them together. Olivia thinks that every person should have a dream that warms the soul in difficult times and gives strength for new victories, and that dream for Olivia is Daniel. She remembers how Kai asked Daniel why he came to the family council without her permission and doesn't like that her brother is preventing Daniel from participating in the family council. Olivia is very angry with her brother for acting inappropriately. Daniel is a person close to her, whom she sees as a member of her family, while Olivia is angry with Kai and thinks about how to put him in his place. Edwin addresses Jared. The chief secretary wants to speak to his employer about payment for his services. Jared invites Edwin to the conference room to talk about financial matters in private. Olivia's father is a little confused since he can't understand what is wrong with the chief secretary's payment, so Jared and the chief secretary go to the conference room. At that moment, Olivia decides to talk to Daniel to clear up the situation a little bit. The girl doesn't want Daniel to fight with her brother. Olivia calls Daniel to distract him from his argument with Kai, taking the young man by the arm and asking how he is. Daniel feels a little uncomfortable since he didn't expect Olivia to give him so much attention, and he has no idea how the girl feels about him. Kai doesn't like that his sister is flirting with Daniel. He decides to make a remark, saying that a noble lady shouldn't behave like that. But Olivia responds by sticking out her tongue, saying that she won't obey her brother. Daniel sees all this and laughs. Olivia is happy next to Daniel, accidentally touching Daniel's biceps with the sleeve of his coat. She realizes that Daniel is in great physical shape. Olivia feels dizzy from being so close to Daniel, but Kai doesn't want to back down. The young aristocrat decides to teach his sister a lesson in obedience and says Olivia must immediately let go of Daniel's hand. Olivia is forced to obey her older brother, otherwise, she will get into trouble. However, she does not pay attention to Kentucky. She is completely distracted in communicating with Daniel. Olivia smiles at her beloved and asks if he is hungry. Daniel responds with the same question, asking if Olivia would like to accompany him to dinner. Olivia thinks that his voice is the most beautiful in the entire empire. Kai looks at his younger sister and Daniel, noticing that the two are openly flirting in front of him, but he cannot do anything about it. Kai becomes very angry, which does not allow him to focus on important family matters. A few minutes later, the Versate family council begins in the conference room. All the important members of the family are gathered. Jared tells his daughter that the Versate family cannot simply refuse the Emperor's invitation, as this could have negative repercussions for everyone in the family. Jared also adds that for years, the Versate family has been the Emperor's ally in every political game that has ever taken place. Olivia remains silent, and Jared asks Olivia to think of something to avoid the Emperor's wrath. Kai supports his father and says that they trust Olivia completely because she is a very intelligent girl. She will surely find a great plan of action. She knows that she cannot just leave everything and abandon the Versate estate after having worked hard for more than a year in the Hirsch province. Now, everything is working like clockwork. The farmers are happy, the income is coming in, and the harvest will be good this year. If Olivia leaves the king's castle, Kill will take over the province and ruin everything. So, Olivia thinks hard and makes a decision. The girl looks carefully at everyone present at the family council and decides to express her thoughts. Olivia says that the Emperor and the Crown Prince should be distracted from the wedding by a small war where they would emerge victorious. The Versate family needed to officially declare that the monsters on the northern borders of the empire had completely lost their fear and were spreading as they pleased. So, they needed to announce the need to send troops to the northern borders of the state. Kai listened to his little sister and said that it was a good idea. However, the aristocrats of the Dallin Empire would be against the decision. They would not want to leave. Olivia replied that the aristocrats should respond to the call for help, or else they too could suffer an invasion by the monsters of the north. Olivia added that they should write a letter to the Emperor and tell him everything. In that case, the Versate family would seem favorable. Olivia's father replied that he did not want to oppose the Emperor's will and had some doubts about his daughter's plan. But Kai defended his little sister. He told his father that he should follow Olivia's advice. Otherwise, she would end up in the Emperor's palace and live there as a prisoner instead of being a free wife of the Crown Prince, which would weaken the Versate family. Jared listened to his son's arguments and replied to Kai that he would not allow his only daughter to be a prisoner anywhere, not even in the Imperial Palace. Olivia's happiness and well-being were more important to Jared than anything else in the world. Olivia laughed when she heard her father's answer, happy that her family supported her and did not want her to be held hostage by the Emperor and her son. Olivia remembered the plot of the novel in which she found herself. In the story, Olivia was mistreated at the royal castle. After arriving there, the ladies of the court mocked the girl because of her obesity and unkempt appearance, which was humiliating and painful for an aristocrat from a noble and ancient family. Olivia thought that the will of the Emperor should not always be fulfilled to the detriment of personal interests. She decided to think carefully about everything so as not to fall into a trap and change the storyline of the novel. Then it was decided, and the council of the Versate family ended. Some time passed, and we go to Olivia's office. At the tea table sat the head of the union, Oscar, and Olivia's personal secretary, San. They were discussing business with passion when she entered the office. The head of the union greeted Olivia, pointing out that she was late for the meeting with him and asked if it could be that she had so many things to do that could not be postponed. But Olivia did not pay attention to the words of the head of the union. The girl greeted him and went to her desk. She called her personal secretary, San. Then San approached her lady's desk and asked how she could help her. San had always been trusted for her reliability, great intelligence, and promptness. Olivia told her private secretary that she wanted to hear his report on the affairs in the province and on the estate, and then Olivia planned to go out with the union boss to make a favorable deal with him. Suddenly, Olivia heard the voice of another man enter her office. The girl recognized that voice, which could only belong to one man in the world. Daniel entered Olivia's office. He called Olivia and asked where she was going with the union boss. Olivia was not expecting a visit from her beloved. She was a little embarrassed and confused. Olivia thought she was lucky today since, that morning, she had received a dose of good humor after seeing the young man she loved with all her heart. Olivia gathered her thoughts and told Daniel that she had to go with the union boss to see the newly built soap factory. She looked into the eyes of her beloved and did not want to be separated from him for a minute. So, she offered Daniel to accompany her and go together to the soap factory. On the way, the young people could have breakfast with something delicious. Daniel happily agreed to Olivia's proposal and asked if she was worried about the negotiation with the emperor's delegation. Olivia replied that the negotiations were being conducted by her brother Kai, who was a true master of the art of the sword. Kai would be able to convince anyone to make concessions to him. Daniel listened attentively and agreed with her words. Suddenly, the young man put his hand into his pants pocket and began to look for something, which left Olivia a little puzzled. Suddenly, Daniel took a candy out of his pocket and offered it to Olivia. The girl was not used to such simple treatment and did not know what to answer. Olivia thought for a few seconds and replied to the young man that she was no longer a little girl. It was a cute and funny gift, but ladies should receive flowers as a sign of attention. Daniel realized that he had done something stupid and apologized to Olivia for his recklessness. Then she went from anger to mercy. The girl did not want to upset her beloved, so she decided to eat the candy that Daniel offered her. Oscar and the personal secretary, San, looked at the young people and could not understand what was happening between them or why they were behaving so strangely. Daniel smiled and told Olivia that he had given up on her. Next time, he would give her not only sweets but also a beautiful bouquet of flowers. He would not make another mistake like the one he just did and needed to be more responsible for the feelings of a noble lady. Olivia listened to him and liked her beloved's words so much that she even closed her eyes in pleasure. Olivia noticed that Daniel was a true knight and a handsome man, so he won her heart forever. After a while, she arrived at the main office of the union, accompanied shyly by San, Oscar, and Daniel. 2 years ago, she had gone to the union for help. The girl organized a constant supply of food in the province of Herche so that her people would not need anything. For this, she organized the construction of several commercial departments that provided food to the people. Olivia walked through the market she built and really had something to be proud of. At first, trade was very bad, but gradually things improved, and now there were many merchants and buyers in this market, which brought an excellent income to the Versate family. Olivia observed the work of the loaders who unloaded new products. The girl realized that she had managed to build a large market in addition to establishing trade that brought undeniable benefits to all participants. She didn't expect that she would be able to handle such a difficult and responsible task. The union boss Oscar approached Olivia and whispered in her ear that the largest market in the province was there. Before, things were very bad with commerce in this area, and there were only a few salespeople working here. But now it is a paradise for entrepreneurs. However, Oscar talked too much, which Olivia didn't like very much. The girl asked the union boss if it wasn't time for him to go to work, but Oscar replied that the work was done by his assistant. Olivia replied that such an attitude towards work was a bad sign for her. So, maybe she needed to increase the number of deliveries of goods so that Oscar wouldn't have time for walks or idle chatter. But in the end, the union boss took Olivia's words with humor. Olivia admitted that there was no need to reprimand Oscar too much since he had done an excellent job for 2 years, putting his heart and soul into this business venture, which was thriving and generating an excellent income for the Versate family. Olivia's personal secretary said that the workers had some complaints with their bosses. They complained that there were too many carts with various goods piling up on the shelves, roads, and corridors, which prevented workers from performing their duties. Olivia thought a little about San's words, but she replied to the secretary that before building new roads, it was necessary to divide the future city into residential and commercial areas. It should also be taken into account that the road must be built before the water and sewage system. Otherwise, new problems could arise. San said that everything would be carried out exactly as Olivia ordered, adding that the girl had a great idea that would help avoid many problems during the construction of the city. Suddenly, Olivia decided to personally supervise the entries in San's work diary. She took the secretary's diary and started making notes and signatures to reduce bureaucratic costs, leaving him a little scared by this. Olivia made notes in the work diary. The girl told the secretary that it was not worth wasting precious time since she had little. San did not understand why Olivia said this since she was still young and healthy, so she would not die soon. Olivia finished working on the diary, and she had already wisely allocated the sequence of construction works and the budget. The girl returned the work diary to her personal secretary and told him to keep an eye on the spending of the money that was allocated for the construction work. San looked at the work diary and was very surprised. He did not expect Olivia to be able to create an efficient construction schedule or allocate a budget so quickly and accurately. He admired his mistress's intelligence. Olivia listened to her personal secretary, remembering her past life in the real world when she had worked as a detective. At that time, she had to deal with a variety of documents. So for Olivia, working with papers was nothing new. Olivia looked at San and praised him for his excellent work, noting how he was able to replace Olivia's personal computer since, unfortunately, computers had not yet been invented in the Empire. Olivia was encouraged by her success, managing to organize an excellent business that already brought a notable income to her family. She was so excited that she now wanted to build an entire city instead of just a prosperous market. Olivia continued her rounds around the construction site, which in the future should become a large and wealthy city. She approached the river that ran through the settlement and told San that the water from the river could not be drunk since it was very dirty and that it was necessary to build a special reservoir with treatment facilities. She decided to consult Oscar. The girl asked the union boss if it would not also be better to buy building materials all at once since this should be cheaper than gradually buying bricks and other materials, and he soon admitted that she was completely right. When Olivia decided on the plans to build a reservoir with drinking water, she decided to go to the soap factory. Previously, this factory had been in a state of decay because it was located near a slaughterhouse, but now things had changed a lot. The slaughterhouse and the old soap factory began to be used as a deposit for animal fats, and it was decided to build the new soap factory near the village where the poor people lived. This was to provide new jobs for the poor and improve their standard of living. The position of head of the new soap factory was given to Daisy. She had always been characterized by a sharp mind and a responsible attitude towards the tasks assigned. Daisy gladly agreed to take over the management of the new soap factory. The suggestion was made by Senorita Evans, this hardworking and kind woman who had done laundry and worked this hard job for decades. Olivia liked her and asked Senorita Evans what could be needed to make good soap. Miss Evans answered the girl that it was sea salt, ash, and recycled bird droppings. Olivia found out where to find all the components needed to make soap and organized its production. Olivia and Oscar traveled in a carriage, and they were going to the villa area. In this area, a new soap factory had been built with the concentrated production of quality soap that was sent throughout the Dala Empire. Olivia asked the head of the union how people perceived the products produced in the new factory. Oscar answered that the common people throughout the empire really liked the soap, but for aristocrats, soap would never be a coveted product. This really surprised Olivia, and the girl could not understand why the imperial nobility did not want to buy such beautiful soap. The young man just smiled and opened his arms, showing that the aristocrats of the empire preferred to mask odors. For them, hygiene was something for people who were very hard at doing physical work and could not afford perfume. Olivia looked at Oscar and for some reason remembered how she met him. This happened 2 years ago when Olivia had gone to the office of the union to resolve some urgent matters in the Hirsch province. Olivia and her maid entered the union office, where Oscar was working as the secretary of the office manager at the time. He introduced himself to the girls and apologized for his appearance. The young man was a little disheveled that day and had a bruise on his face. The reason for the bruise on Oscar's face was his fight with the former manager of the union office. The young secretary was always getting his pay late, and he would not keep quiet about it. So, as a result, the office manager beat up Oscar. The young man told this story to Olivia, who was extremely indignant at the poor treatment given to the office employees. Oscar told Olivia that he had to sneak into the accounting department to steal his pay, but he was caught red-handed, so the office manager took a baton and decided to punish the thief even more. Oscar looked at Olivia, revealing that her visit to the office saved him from death. The boss was ruthless, and he decided not to stop beating Oscar until he lost consciousness. But Olivia suddenly arrived, and the punishment stopped. Oscar thanked Olivia for his rescue and said that he was now indebted to her. Olivia's maid screamed in horror upon hearing the story of the young man's beating, and Olivia's eyes widened in surprise. She thought that the order in that institution left a lot to be desired. She looked closely at the young man who had almost been killed by his boss, realizing that she had actually saved Oscar from death. She didn't remember this character in the storyline, but perhaps saving him would help change Olivia's fate. So, she decided to help the young secretary once more. She turned to Oscar, saying that she had a proposal that would certainly interest him. Olivia offered him a job in a new sales office that she was about to open, and in the long run, this company could become a new commercial syndicate. She took Oscar with her the same day after he agreed to go with her. The young secretary didn't hesitate in his decision for a minute since he had nothing to lose except a boring job for a cruel boss. She remembered how Oscar sat in his carriage thoughtful. The young man was a little scared by the uncertainty in life since he didn't know that her business ventures would be a great success, but Olivia prepared another surprise for him, and the next day the girl bought the entire union, merging it with her company, and appointed Oscar as the head of this entire commercial company, betting on Oscar's youth and loyalty. Now, Olivia and Oscar had finally arrived in the village, where they made soap, and Olivia wanted to inspect the production process. She woke up from her memories of her meeting with Oscar and dealt with urgent matters. She immediately decided to change the situation in her favor. She needed to think of a way to make the aristocrats of the empire buy her soap. The girl realized that to do this, she needed to make her product attractive to the target audience. Olivia examined the bar of soap and could not understand how to improve it to please the taste of the local aristocracy. But suddenly, Olivia had an idea. The girl smelled the bar of soap and realized that despite being clean, it smelled bad. So maybe that's why the aristocrats did not like the products of the Versate soap factory. In her past life, Olivia bought whole packages of soap, so she hadn't even thought about how difficult it was to produce this product. Unfortunately, in the fairy tale world of the novel that the girl fell into, there was no internet, and she didn't know the recipe for soap with an attractive smell. Furthermore, it was very difficult to find quality ingredients for manufacturing there, but she knew that this problem had to be solved in any way, or else the soap would not be bought by the aristocrats of the empire, who had a lot of money. Unexpectedly, Olivia's thoughts were interrupted by her secretary. He said that Daisy wanted to see the girl, just like her brother Daniel. Daniel went to Dion a little before Olivia to have time to see his sister Daisy. Now they knew that Olivia had arrived in Dion and wanted to see her. The girl greeted her close friends. But suddenly Daniel gave her new clothes and told her to change since they needed to go see the construction of the city of Cessna, but they could only get there by riding horses. Olivia looked at the clothes in her lover's hands. She agreed to change her clothes and continue her journey. She also thanked Daniel for his care for her. After a while, she arrived at the city of Cessna. Construction was taking place there, paid for by the Versate family. This process also needed to be controlled by her. The city of Cessna lost many men who went to the borders of the Dalen Empire to fight against various enemies and monsters, but the emperor did not think of setting aside a pension for the widows and their children to survive without their men. So all that was left for the unfortunate widows and orphans was to gather herbs that grew in the mountains and sell them. Olivia was inspecting the construction works when suddenly she was approached by an unknown young man dressed as a common worker. He greeted Olivia and expressed his joy at meeting her. Then she intervened in the conversation and said that the name of this young man was Harold, the person in charge of construction in the city of Cessna. Olivia greeted Harold and said that he did a great job. The lady's words pleased the construction foreman even more. Daniel noticed people in the shade of the trees, having lunch in a carefree manner, so he asked Harold why these people were not working since the lunch break was already over. Harold replied to Daniel that they were not construction workers, and that this was a meeting place for the poor and sick of Cessna who needed help. He gave them humanitarian aid and food so that they would not die of hunger. Daisy listened to Harold intervene. In the indignant conversation, the money the Versate family allocated for the construction was being spent recklessly. The girl did not understand why she was not informed about the poor and sick residents of Cessna who needed help. Harold was frightened by Daisy's anger. The foreman was embarrassed and said that he only wanted to help people in need, thinking that this would be better for everyone. Daisy replied that he had no right to spend the allocated funds without accounting for where they went. Harold should put amateurism aside and report where every penny was spent. The boy was confused and regretted having taken such a hasty initiative. He then told Daisy that he would do everything he could to ensure that this did not happen again. He knew all the risks that awaited him if he disobeyed, saying that he would stop doing this. But Daisy decided to calm Harold down. The girl approached the construction supervisor and put her hands on his shoulders, saying that he had done a very reasonable and honorable thing. Harold did not expect this turn of events. Then Daisy explained that his mistake was not reporting the unfortunate and sick people of Cessna who needed humanitarian aid. He should have informed her about this immediately, since she would allocate a separate budget to help these people. She thanked Harold for his generosity and concern for the needy. Then Harold felt relieved to know that Daisy was no longer angry with him. Olivia looked at Daisy and admired her housekeeper, noticing that she had turned out to be a great manager who chose a good work team, noting that Harold alone was already worthwhile, being worthy of respect and encouragement. Olivia finished inspecting the construction work in the city of Cessna, being satisfied with the work. The girl also liked Harold and was sure that everything would be fine there. Olivia told Oscar that the city of Cessna lacked something, finding it urgent to build a hospital for the people of the city since their health and psychological state left much to be desired. The head of the union listened to Olivia but said that the residents of the city would not be able to pay for the treatment at the hospital. She replied that the widows and orphans of warriors who fell for the security of the state deserved free treatment at the best hospital, and that the cost of the project was completely relevant in this situation. Then she ordered Oscar to find a doctor, an experienced person who could lead the new hospital, in addition to organizing an effective treatment and rehabilitation process, mentioning that the people of Sasno were in terrible physical and psychological states because they lost their husbands, brothers, and parents in the war. Oscar replied that he would carry out all the instructions of his mistress. So, Olivia carried out all her tasks. Olivia decided to return home immediately so that she could rest and gain strength for new achievements. The girl went to the garden of the Versailles estate to isolate herself in a luxurious gazebo and relax in the open air. She lay down on a marble bench in the gazebo, realizing how tired she was, and rested serenely after her fruitful labors. Olivia did not want to think about business now, remembering her beloved Daniel. Olivia felt the sunlight that enveloped her with warmth, the same feeling that dominated Olivia when she was near Daniel. But unfortunately, the girl had no way to get close to this handsome young man, no matter how hard she tried, which depressed her. She looked at the cloudless sky and fell asleep in the warmth of the sun, having a romantic dream with her and Daniel isolated in a pink greenhouse. She asked the young man directly if he would be her lover, but Daniel gave a negative answer. This surprised and upset Olivia, so she asked why he refused to be her lover. But Daniel looked at her and was afraid of offending her. He replied that he would like to, but he could not do that. The girl could not understand Daniel's logic, but he said that there could be unwanted rumors among the aristocrats of the empire, which would harm the girl's reputation. Besides, the empire needed new soldiers on the northern border, and he would soon be going to military service, so he did not want to start a relationship that was doomed. Olivia was unhappy, looking at her beloved. His words felt like sharp knives piercing her vulnerable heart. She could not believe that Daniel did not love her, and salty tears ran down the cheeks of the girl in love. She covered her face with her hands, feeling very bad, disappointed with her romantic feelings for Daniel. Olivia told her beloved that she must be boring since every man gets tired of girls who follow him around all day. But Daniel just looked intently at her, a girl he really liked but could not be with. Daniel tried to reassure her, remembering that she had already turned 17, so she would soon get married, and he could not stop it. But Olivia replied that she would marry only him and that it was not up for discussion. Daniel really did not expect this answer, getting very surprised. Then, Olivia looked into Daniel's eyes and asked if he did not like her or if maybe he was in love with another girl. But he quickly gathered his thoughts. He took his hand to Olivia's face and began to wipe the tears from her reddened cheeks. Daniel told Olivia that he liked her very much, revealing that he had romantic feelings for her. With these words, a pleasant shiver ran through her body, and the girl's soul felt warm and comfortable. Olivia was used to always getting what she wanted, and she realized that now was the time to take the situation into her own hands. Daniel's heart melted under Olivia's pressure. She asked again if he would be her boyfriend, and this time he answered yes. Then Olivia could not believe her happiness, wondering if she had really gotten Daniel's reciprocity. She asked again to make sure if it was true, which Daniel answered again yes, and to seal their union, the young people intertwined their little fingers. This seemed a little funny and naive, but for the two, it didn't matter. They were just happy, so they admired the beautiful stars and talked sweetly. Olivia asked Daniel to never leave her or go anywhere. The young man gave his word to Olivia that he would always be by her side. Suddenly, someone touched her beautiful face. Olivia was trying to wake up from her romantic dream, a dream that warmed her soul. She didn't want to return to the reality in which Daniel was not her boyfriend, but it was necessary to move on. Olivia tried to open her heavy eyes and managed with difficulty. The girl realized that someone in front of her wanted to wake her up. She tried to see this person and finally distinguished that it was Daniel who was waking her up. The young man was leaning over Olivia, waiting for her to wake up while she was happy with the surprise. Daniel took her by the hand to help her get up. Then Olivia thanked the young man and asked where he had been for so long. Daniel replied that he had met Kale on the way to the estate. The two decided to train to improve their sword skills with a duel. Since Daniel had to agree, Olivia asked her beloved who had won the duel, to which Daniel replied that he had won as always. The young people went together, having fun with the kindness of Kale, who always competed with Daniel. It had been night for a long time. The starry sky was decorated with a full moon that illuminated the sleeping trees and the gazebo with its light. Olivia and Daniel admired the beauty of the night sky. She rested her head on Daniel's lap. The girl looked at the night sky and asked her beloved how old he was. He replied that he had already turned 17 but that his birthday was coming, so he would soon become a grown man. Olivia was shocked after hearing Daniel's answer, but a new plan came to her head, one that she wanted to make a reality in the near future, but she would not tell anyone about it. The young people enjoyed the fresh air and the beauty of the night sky. Of course, it was time to return to the castle. Olivia asked Daniel how he had grown so much if he was only 17 years old, making him laugh, admitting that he did not know. But for today, we'll leave it here. So if you like this story and if you want a sequel, let me know in the comments by writing Obese Detective.